You're listening to an Anazao Ministries podcast. Have you ever had a question about a myth or a piece of history that's haunted you? A question that's haunted my brain for nearly 20 years is addressed in this show, this great comedy, Our Flag Means Death, addresses the question, why did Blackbeard put up with Stede Bonnet? It's something that many historians have pondered and answered with crazy, wild theories. So this comedic take decided, what if we came up with a crazier, wilder theory? What if Blackbeard loved Stede Bonnet? Guys, this is Systematic Geekology. We are your priest to the geeks. I'm Joshua Knoll. I am here with the one and only TJ Tiberius Juan Blackwell.
Thank you.
What's up, TJ? Yeah.
What's going on, Josh?
This is one of those. This is our HBO series, and this is one where, like, I was the only one who really wanted to do this, and I was like, I really want to talk about pirates. I really enjoyed this show. I'm just going to pull in the other greatest pirate lover I know on our show. I think that's probably accurate.
It has to be. Probably, unless someone's hiding it.
Yeah. I mean, other people like One Piece, but that's not quite the same.
It's close.
Yeah. I mean, it is pirate, and it's also anime. Which brings up, like, part of what I want to talk about first. So this show is a comedy that goes over the life of Stede Bonnet. If you've studied the history, though, you'd also realize that, dang, this is actually weirdly pretty close to what happened, which is part of what makes it even funnier. The more you know the history, the more you're like, oh, wait, that was actually just this ridiculous. Some rich guy just one day woke up and said, I'm tired of having a good life. Let's be a pirate, and just sucked at it. That really is what happened, basically. Yeah. So let's talk about that first. Let's talk about, like, what happened in real life. TJ, what do you know about the history of Captain Stede Bonnet?
So I know Stede grew up rich on Barbados. You know, his father owned a lot of land. His father died in 1690 something, and Stede inherited all the money because he was the oldest son, only son.
Something.
And Stede didn't really like that a whole lot and decided to be a pirate, which lasted about a year.
And then he came back later on after failing at it.
Yeah.
Which is fun because the show is pretty much doing that. So you see, he goes off. And the thing that we don't know in history, there's a lot of gaps in real life history because, like, we really don't know a whole lot about, like, why did this guy just decide, hey, I want to be a pirate now? From a Christian perspective, you know, it does make a lot of sense. Like, yeah, wealth doesn't make you happy. So he tried something else to make him happy. But from a historic perspective, it's weird. Almost all of your pirates, or your well-known pirates up to this point, were either pirates because they were part of a navy or a privateer to make money, and then laws changed, governments changed, whatever, and then they're kind of out on their own and were forced into being a pirate. Or you had a lot of people who ended up being pirates because it was literally the only way they could be free. A lot of slaves became pirates because, you know, pirate captain says, hey, I'll set you free if you help me loot and plunder some cities. That's a whole lot better than being a slave, you know? And then even there were a lot of times that men would go out to sea and get lost or were branded traitors for becoming a pirate. And sometimes the women would leave. There was actually an entire ship, I forget who it was, but it was ran just by women of people who were marked traitors because they realized either their only way of freedom was either to prove that their husbands were in fact not pirates, or they were just going to have to be pirates themselves. That's just how the law worked.
Yeah.
And then you have this Stede Bonnet guy.
Bonnie. What's her name?
Was that Bonnie?
Yeah.
That sounds right. Let's go with that. Always fact check Systematic Geekology. We don't pay anyone to do it for us, so we just expect the listeners to take care of that. Yeah. But that is what made Stede Bonnet so weird. Everybody else is kind of doing it out of necessity or because of, like, weird government things. And this guy goes, man, I'm tired of being rich, wealthy with a family. What if instead of all of that, I just was a pirate? And he was like, he's typically known as, like, the gentleman pirate. He was really bad at it because he didn't want to, like, you know, steal, plunder, kill people. I think he just wanted to say he was a pirate. Like, honestly, I don't get it.
Yeah. Well, he literally started his piracy in 1717 and was executed for it in 1718.
Yeah. So
he didn't get a lot of time to get at it.
Yeah, because he sucked. The way I understood it is like he tried it for a little bit, and then he gave up on it. Blackbeard got involved somehow, and then he ends up becoming like Blackbeard, running one of Blackbeard's ships, like as part of Blackbeard's fleet.
So what happened? Stede bought a ship, and just renamed it to. I don't think
Sound
the
more
actual
piratey.
ship was called the Revenge, but it's called the Revenge, and our flag means death. And
I think his second ship is
he
called
gets
the
really ill.
Revenge.
He gets sick. He gets
Yeah.
wounded and sick, and they're at port, and like the Republic of Pirates, and he meets Blackbeard, and he just convinces, like, gives command of the ship to Blackbeard.
Yeah.
And then his crew's like, you know what, this guy sucks. When we meet Blackbeard again after that, we're just going to join his crew. And then Stede was just a guest on Blackbeard's ship after that.
I mean, you know what's funny is how much of this sounds like we're talking about like the show or like we're making up comedy, but like this is actual history. And that's what's funny too is like Blackbeard, Edward Teach or Ed Thatch or whatever. We don't even really know what his name was. We have so little history, and what we do have mostly sounds like myth. He is one of those weird characters. So when you have this guy whose like entire legacy is being this like dark, gritty character, and it's like, why did he take on Stede Bonnet, the world's absolute worst pirate? No one has a good answer. People keep coming up with reasons. This show's answer was fabulous. The show decided maybe Blackbeard and Stede Bonnet kind of, just had a thing for each other. Maybe they just had a crush. That's all it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is pretty amusing when you think of all the other depictions of Blackbeard we know of. I'm thinking of like Blackbeard in Pirates of the Caribbean or Blackbeard in our favorite anime, One Piece.
Yeah.
They're both pretty grimacing, terrible characters. And that's what he's known for.
He's generally just a scary guy.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I heard one legacy that like after his head was cut off, he's like swam around the ship that defeated him like 3 times or something. Crazy stuff. I like going camping at Cumberland Island, just giving this away to people. So I have a few books about different history and stuff that's happened at the island. There's theories that he visited and put part of his treasure on that island. We have no idea anything about this guy, what he did or anything, other than he was scary. Yeah, we all can kind of agree this was a scary guy. And I think, which I know when you're talking to Christians, it can get kind of when we're talking about same-sex attraction, that kind of stuff. But like, I thought it was really funny, the idea that Blackbeard took on Stede because Blackbeard kind of developed feelings for him romantically. Because it's like, we don't think of Blackbeard of having romantic feelings at all. Just not who he is.
Yeah. It's just not part of it.
Yeah. Now, to you, did knowing some of the history and stuff like that bring out the humor better for what little you got to see of the series so far?
I feel like you either have to know who Stede Bonnet was or just accept that this was a person and this is what he was like.
Yeah. Do you think they got the character Stede Bonnet pretty correct as far as things go?
Well, I didn't know the guy, but
yeah.
And this is 300 years ago history.
Yeah.
So we don't know like a ton about Stede Bonnet, but we know a lot more about him than some other pirates. And except for like the end where he gets back together with his wife and then realizes that he's gay and he wants his wife to be happy with her new husband.
Yeah.
But it felt pretty much like Stede Bonnet.
Yeah. I mean, even that part, technically possible. We probably wouldn't have records to know that, because if everybody found out what happened, more murders would have occurred. They would have had to keep it under wraps if that did happen, especially given the time frame. Yeah, I thought it was really funny watching just throughout this series. They already had this like funny chemistry where Blackbeard is kind of trying to show Stede how to be tough, and it's like this like. So I don't know if is it metrosexual? Is that the right term that I'm thinking of for like Stede Bonnet, like how he is, where he's kind of a dandy. Maybe that's better to use Christian's language.
People would call him a dandy or a fop.
Yeah, like he's not typical masculine features. He's very, well-read, very like city boy kind of stuff, whatever you want to call him. Very cultured. And it's very funny to watch Blackbeard be like, oh, here's how you gut somebody and, be a pirate, and trying to like show him how to really be a pirate, because it's just not in him at all. And it's really funny to watch Blackbeard try to make him that when he's not that. And it was also really funny that we had a lot of times where like Stede is trying to show Blackbeard how to like go to a sophisticated party. It's like, we could rob them better if we kind of infiltrated. And it's like Blackbeard clearly has no idea how to be part of that upper class kind of culture. So there was a lot of funny hijinks. It felt very like buddy filmish for a few episodes. And then the buddy film became romance film.
Yeah. This is a period drama or period comedy romance.
Yeah. Also, probably historic fiction might also fall in that.
Historical fiction.
Yeah. Like it's close enough to history that it could be historical fiction.
Yeah. Like these two people did know each other.
Yeah. Well, we don't know why Blackbeard liked Stede. They were associated. They were pirates. Stede really did become a pirate just cuz, basically. Pretty odd stuff. Yeah. And when you kind of, a lot of times when we talk about pirates, if you think about like the Pirates of the Caribbean film, Jack Sparrow has that whole thing of like the Black Pearl represents freedom. One Piece, there's a lot of talk about freedom. A lot of your pirate fiction that you read and stuff, it's about freedom, which we know that pirates are really mostly about stealing and getting money. Sometimes it was about freedom because, like I said, there were a lot of slaves who became pirates because literally their only option. But why do you think we associate pirate lore with freedom like that, typically?
Well, it's fairly common. People want to be free, and what could be freer than living on a boat out at sea? What taxes are you paying when you live on the ocean?
True. Also, being anti-government, a lot of times, a lot of people associate as being more free. Turns out everybody's secretly Republican. Sorry, that's a joke. Please don't cancel me.
Classical Republican.
Yeah.
Everyone's secretly libertarian.
Yeah. Nobody actually wants federalism, except for maybe Thomas Jefferson. That's a different podcast where I rant about why I don't like Thomas Jefferson.
Maybe possibly Thomas Jefferson. He only liked federalism because he was in charge.
True. Because it helped the French. Anyway. But yeah, so and I do think because there are all these like real life stories, like we were talking about with Bonnie and with some of the slaves who chose freedom and the only freedom that existed was piracy. I think some of that reality is exaggerated in our pirate fiction lore so that it becomes just only about that and not about all the terrible things that pirates did, which there still are pirates. But when we're talking pirates, we're mostly talking about like 17th century pirates, I think, right?
Yeah. 18th century.
Yeah.
Or, no, 16th century. Centuries are stupid.
Somewhere between 16th and 18th century. Now, that is one thing that, like, the reason I bring up the freedom aspect is I find it really curious that you have this gay romance, the same-sex romance in the middle of this show because so much of pirate stuff is about freedom. It's, we even have the through line in this story of the woman being a pirate and having to hide her identity and different stuff, not because she's a woman, but that's a whole other thing. So I did think it was interesting, though, that we included this. I think that might be where they go season 2. If they do a season 2, is kind of discussing, how much freedom is there? Can they be a same-sex couple on the seas of piracy, or will they be persecuted by their fellow pirates? Because that's kind of even in the underworld, that's kind of frowned upon in this time frame.
Yeah, season 2 is confirmed. I'm pretty sure.
Good. Do you think it's going to be about their?
I think they're definitely going to meet up again because they had gotten separated, and then Ed relapsed, and Stede went back and left his wife again, and came back to find Ed. And
yeah. And there's a lot of really real stuff in here that I feel like is not okay to joke about, that is joked about, that I still found funny. Like honestly, part of the joke is that Blackbeard is gay. That's like, Blackbeard can't be gay. He's manly. That's not okay to joke about in our culture. And yet I think that's part of the point, which is what makes it funny. That is like, we shouldn't be doing this joke. Here it is anyway.
Yeah. Or like when Stede fakes his death with somebody's pet cheetah. That's the same.
Yeah.
But honestly, one of my favorite jokes in the series is when they shave Blackbeard.
I forgot about that. Yeah. That was pretty funny.
Blackbeard.
Just watching everybody have no idea who he was pretty funny.
Yeah, which that's accurate. That's real life.
Yeah.
Dude, the whole time you've known him, he's had a beard down to his chest. when it's gone, you're not going to have any clue who that is. Yeah,
It'll at least take you a minute.
my freshman year of college, I just wore a hat every day for the first couple weeks. And then the first day I didn't wear the hat, no one knew who I was.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's like the guy who used to play Superman. You've heard the stories where like he's like put on the glasses and just was not recognized in public. It's like, it turns out that actually works.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty amusing stuff. And like, I don't know, I'm excited to see what they do with this show, even though I think the further they explore this same-sex relationship, it's going to get a lot more controversial, Yeah.
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 I think it is.
Yeah. As Christians, different people on our show believe different things when it comes to affirming or not affirming same-sex weddings, gay weddings, however you want to say it. I think even TJ and I probably have slightly different views on this. TJ, while we're here, let's just put it out there so that we're not avoiding the topic. What do you think as far as like your faith? Like, how do you see people who are attracted to people of the same sex? Like, what is your general view?
I don't really care.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. I know.
It's not my view.
Yeah. I think you tend to be more, if I'm thinking correctly, more like Bible says what the Bible says kind of view, right?
Well,
Ish.
The Bible does say what it says, but it's not all literal. And it's not all intact, I guess, is the word. Not everything in the Bible is written for today.
Yeah, that's fair. So do you think the Bible has a clear stance on this?
Unfortunately not.
Yeah,
it's real murky.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree, and I know that's going to upset a lot of the conservative people. It's like, oh, it says it right here in English. It does say it right there in English. Some of the words translated, especially when you get into the Greek, are words that literally don't exist other places. So it's a lot more murky when you're reading the original language going, oh, wait a minute. We're just guessing what that word means? We're not sure that it means homosexual? What do you mean? Or, this Levitical law is what's doing it? Yeah. There's a lot of parts of the Bible that seem like the law is changing as times change, and God intended that. So it's like, I don't know, man. I'm at a point where I hold biblical inerrancy in a loose hand. It's not that I've denied it or gone away from it. It's just kind of I'm not so sure about that. But I do think the Bible's a little messier. If I had to guess some of the intent of the author, I think the authors probably did intend to say that homosexuality is not allowed within the faith. I'm not sure where I fall. I tend to lean closer to conservative most of the time on things. I'm not so sure, though. I do think in the context of this conversation, especially where they're not trying to say, we're Christians, Blackbeard is now saved by grace, and he is gay. Like, that's not what they're doing here, So I feel like, at the very least, we shouldn't treat it any differently than when we see murderers on TV. Like, at worst,
that's one way
it shouldn't be treated any different than any other thing we disagree with that's on TV. If they're not saying Blackbeard the priest is now getting married to another man, chill. We all know that Blackbeard isn't representing Christian views. We get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. It's like watching that Jack the Ripper documentary and going like, well, I don't agree with the murderer, but.
Yeah, this is Christians shouldn't watch anything with murder. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty true, right? The Bible is clear about that one. Yeah.
It is. It very much is.
Yeah.
It says, thou shalt not kill.
Yeah. Can't get much clearer than.
Which also happens in Our Flag Means Death, so.
So this is a controversial series after all. Yeah. No, I do think it's interesting when you're putting it into the context of pirate lore and pirate TV, thinking about freedom, thinking about what it means with our relationships, what it means with our history. We have some characters that, they have some history that kind of comes back to haunt them. It's kind of cool seeing both Stede Bonnet and Blackbeard. One of the most interesting parts to me, and I think this is the question the show is trying to ask, is Stede Bonnet becomes a pirate because he's bored of his life. He just got bored of being a rich guy at home, like he didn't feel any sense of purpose. Blackbeard was so good at being a pirate, he's getting bored of being a pirate. He's tired of killing everybody and always winning. He wants a challenge. He wants something different. And I think that's relatable. I think everybody has a point in their life where they're like, I'm kind of bored of what my life is. I'm tired of this rut that I'm in. except for TJ. I assume TJ's never felt that. TJ's always living exactly the way he wants to.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, you see, the thing is, ruts make things work. Makes it easier. That's how you know where the car goes.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, even in the Bible, we see some places where I'm trying to think of specific things. Mostly I'm thinking of like some of the Psalms where people are like, they're tired of what the way things are. They're looking to a more hopeful future, a better tomorrow. And sometimes it feels like any action is better than no action. I don't think that's true, but I think sometimes it does feel that way for all of us. I'm not telling you to go become a pirate. No, also not telling you not to go become a pirate. But if you do, if you become a pirate and you still listen to our podcast, please email me and let me know. But also realize,
as a matter of fact, if you're listening to this, if you're listening to this on the boat right now, shout out to you guys. We love y'all. Our maritime audience.
Yeah,
Pirates
for sure,
rock.
Definitely.
Keep that legacy strong.
Oh man, but I think it's something interesting. The show's getting at it from a secular viewpoint, but I think we see it all around us all the time. You see people in school who are tired of going to school every day, people who are tired of their 9-to-5 job, people who are tired of the same family, people who are tired of being in government, people who are tired of being out at war. People just get tired of this life. I hate to be that way, but I think it's because there's something in all of us that's really longing for something more than what this life has to offer. That's not what the show's answer is going to be. I'm interested how they answer this question. But as a Christian, as what I personally view with my faith, I think they're highlighting part of human nature. And I think the part they're highlighting is this desire for something more than what we have. And to me, that answer is going to be God's going to be my faith. To them, I'm interested to see how they answer that question. You have anything to add to that, TJ?
No.
So, TJ, is there, outside of like, because Christians get this too, right? So people who go to church all the time, who are, Christians, also get this feeling where they're just tired of life and doing the same thing all the time. What are your words of wisdom to those people?
Well, you really got to take advantage of the little things that change day to day. When you feel like you're stuck, you're not really stuck. You can always change something, and nothing's ever really the same. Something different's happening every day. It's up to you to interact with it.
True. I think people forget how massive this universe that God created is too. As someone who likes hiking a lot, I'm like, I can always find a new place outside that I haven't seen before. Believe it or not, the wilderness in Arizona, wildly different than the wilderness in the Carolinas. It feels like you're in a whole other world, which is why your older films like Star Wars are able to just record something in a different country. And we're all like, wow, this feels like a whole different planet. It's because our planet is actually just that massive. Yeah.
Yeah, not even the planet. Like I was in downtown Greenville the other day. I was seeing things that I didn't know were there.
Yeah.
Lived here my whole life.
Also, there's these things called books. There's whole new worlds and books and different fandoms. And that's why I think that's part of like why we like things that we like, is like, we don't want to just see our life over and over. If all TV shows were just regular life, that would suck. I like seeing Star Wars and then Star Trek and Doctor Who and Rings of Power and all these other worlds that I can explore and live vicariously through. I think that's where fandoms are actually powerful. I also, so one part, my answer is always going to be faith. Seek God, seek the things that are larger than this life. Help somebody. If you invest into people, that always, like, that never feels like a waste of time. That's something. Like, if you go find a homeless shelter and you start investing in that and helping other people, or if you go find a way to invest in charity or to help others, that always gives you purpose. So I think that's always a good thing to do. But also, we live in a massive world with plenty of fandoms, plenty of nature to see. I think there's always an answer to this question, and it doesn't have to be go become a law-breaking pirate. Could be, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, it can be that. You absolutely can do that. It is illegal.
Yeah, I also think you can't be a Christian and be a pirate.
Yeah, I'm not condoning it. Probably not an American pirate.
Yeah. Anyway, so TJ, before we wrap this up, I want to convince everybody that we can to watch this series. Really funny series, really piratey series. It's a good time. If you had to give people one reason to go check out this show, what would it be?
Just one reason.
I mean, you can give more than one if you want.
This show is written and produced by Taika Waititi.
Is it? I had no idea. That's a solid reason. Man,
Yeah.
that explains my reason. My reason would be, there's a lot of times there's these just iconic duos or partners or, friendships. I'm thinking of like, honestly, Barney and Marshall and How I Met Your Mother. It's a big one for me. Legolas and Gimli in the Lord of the Rings movies. Like there are sometimes that some characters just have such chemistry. It makes the whole thing better. For me, Blackbeard and Stede Bonnet had some phenomenal chemistry and it made the series a lot of fun just to watch them interact off each other. So kudos to those actors, whoever they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have anything else?
I feel like we did ourselves a disservice by not bringing up how much we're into pirates and privateering.
It's a lot. Yeah.
It's a lot.
That's true. We just kind of mentioned that we both really like pirates, but I mean, like, we have actively contemplated getting matching privateer tattoos. Well, matching. We're both going to have the One Piece flag, and then I'm going to have Captain Morgan underneath it, and you're going to have whose flag are you? Why was I about to say Tim Drake?
Francis Drake. Tim Drake. I'm gonna get the Tim Drake.
Who's Tim?
On my leg.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, but I mean, definitely One Piece. Yeah. And what's funny is like this is not the first pirate episode we've done. You and I specifically have used systematic ecology to talk about pirates a few times.
Yeah,
and we'll probably do it a few times more. Let's go
a couple more times.
Yeah. When season 2 comes out, as we talk about One Piece more, as literally any other pirate media comes out at all.
The Uncharted remake that's going to happen eventually.
Yeah, I didn't know. I just saw the live action Uncharted movie. I was like, I didn't know how much pirates were in this. This is awesome.
Yeah, dude. Uncharted is about Nathan Drake finding Francis Drake's treasure. That's like...
Yeah, I just didn't know I had anything to do with Francis Drake. I just knew Nathan Drake was the main character. Just thought it was coincidence. Yeah.
No.
The next pirate video game that comes out, we'll probably talk about. There's just so many excuses. The time that I finally convinced TJ that we should do an entire episode about the pirates from Gallivant, who are the lords of the sea, except they're not at sea. Do it.
They got like 2 episodes.
Do it.
They got 1 or 2 episodes in Gallivant.
It's fair.
There's barely enough of them to have an episode in their own show.
I bet I can make it work.
They don't get an episode in our show.
I can make it work. Okay, then.
I do have one more thing I wanted to say about the series that I forgot. This, to me, seems like Stede's, fall into piracy. Seems like the 1700s equivalent of what Elon Musk has been doing.
What?
Inherited wealth, comfy life. You decided, no, not that. I'm going to make it way harder for myself.
Yeah. All he had to do was not get involved with Twitter. Literally anything else, he probably would have been okay.
Well,
I'd say probably.
Yeah.
There's this whole thing where he just wanted to buy a town in Texas for some reason.
Yeah, no, that's a current thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so maybe Stede Bonnet
I kind of hope he does that. That's pretty cool, actually.
It would be at least amusing to watch him change the currency to Dogecoin for a whole town.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I could finally sell.
Sell all your Dogecoin? Yeah. I think that's pretty accurate. Stede Bonnet was Elon Musk in a previous life. We're now Buddhist or Hindus. Yeah. And we believe this. That's not true.
Wholeheartedly.
Just check out. It's like, what was it? Paul or Jesus said like they had like the faith was inherited from the faith of another prophet. I forget who it was. But it's like that. But instead of faith, it's just, I don't know what to call this. Boredom. The boredom of Stede Bonnet was inherited upon Elon Musk. And he had to act thusly. Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Fair enough. It's a good one.
Also, all right, so shout out, Stede Bonnet died in Charleston, South Carolina.
Did he really?
Yeah, executed, but still.
All right. SG road trip. Guys, meet us there. We're going right now. Like whenever you're listening to this, doesn't matter what year, what day it is. TJ and I are currently on our way to Charleston. Meet us there.
Yeah.
That's how that works, right?
It will be.
Yeah, time travel is weird. Anyway, so instead of recommendations, when we wrap up our HBO series, we like to tell everybody something about how we binge watch our shows. There's a lot of different things I do. Like I don't typically do the same thing every time I'm watching a show. But as I've been catching up with One Piece, I have been doing a lot of binging. Most recently, I just kind of, I have a TV in my bedroom. So I woke up and said, I wonder how much One Piece I can watch before I feel like I have to get up. So that's how I was binging it the last time I binged a show. Yeah. Do you have a TV where you sleep, TJ? Is this is that a thing for you?
So like, sort of.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Are you gonna explain?
So I have my monitor that I play games on, and my laptop, which is always set up directly in front of the monitor.
Yeah.
And I do actually, you know what? I do have a TV right in front of my bed. It's just not even plugged in. It's never even on. I don't use it.
You just use your monitor. Do you watch TV on your monitor?
Nope.
How do you watch TV? You just go to the other room when you need to watch something?
Yeah, usually.
Man, you're far less lazy.
Worst case scenario, I'll watch it on my laptop. And then if I'm really feeling it, I'll plug my laptop into either one of the other bigger screens, and I'll lay in bed and watch it that way.
If my kitchen wasn't so close to my living room, I might watch everything in my bedroom. There's a genuine possibility of that. But luckily, my kitchen's pretty close to the living room, so I grab a snack and sit in there a lot of times and watch TV. But if it wasn't for that, bedroom's a place. Yeah. So let us know how you watch TV. If you watch TV in bed, don't send us a picture, but let us know. We'd be curious. Yeah. And of course, come back tomorrow. We have more regular episodes, and remember that we are all a chosen people, a geekdom of priests. This was an Anazao Ministries podcast. If you enjoyed this show and would like to learn more about our network, be sure to check out the Anazao Ministries podcast network.